Today, we're going to dive into what I think is the most interesting part of the Acolyte so far, and that is the mystery of who the Sith Lord is, this Smilo Ren. After the marketing of this show, saying that it was diving into the perspective of the Sith,
what I was interested in examining were the Sith.
Now it's at the end of the 4th episode that we finally get any real significant action other than a reveal in the 1st episode of this Sith Lord in a mask. First, we need to get one thing straight. Smilo Ren is only the Sith apprentice. He is not the Sith Lord or the Sith Master. Now we've already been told this by Leslie in her interview with Dave Filoni.
The master-apprentice dynamic.
If the apprentice is craving the master's power, then at some point he must recruit his apprentice to overthrow the master.
Yeah.
And that is the Acolyte.
Right.
So this for sure tells us that this is the apprentice. So we're going to get to who the Sith Master actually is in a bit. But let's talk first about all the theories out there on who this is and why I think it's the most obvious choice. First, let's start with Vestra Rho. Now I've seen this one a lot and I think it's simply because she's trying to cover things up and seems a bit shady. Now I can say with 100% certainty that she's not Smilo Ren. She's just a Jedi Master that has become dogmatic and believes that the reputation of the Jedi is more important than doing what's actually the smart thing to do, and that is to inform the High Council.
The High Council would be obliged to inform the Senate. A scandal like this would inspire fear and mistrust. We should handle this ourselves.
She wants to cover this up and handle it quietly, but not because she's the Sith Lord. In fact, I would argue that there's zero chance that the Sith have infiltrated the Jedi at all. And I'll explain why with our next candidate, Master Soul. Now, Master Soul is my favorite character so far in the Acolyte because he has some of the qualities that Qui-Gon Jinn has. He doesn't seem to follow the dogma and rigid structure that Vestra seems to follow, and you can see that he actually has real human emotions. He lets himself feel them without letting them control him. He truly wants to see the good in people and that they can be saved. But here's the thing with him or Vestra being Sith Lords. Remember, the Sith have two things that truly make them Sith. One, they hate the Jedi and they're their sworn enemies. And two, they crave power. Neither one of them have even hinted at any of these two things. They also, so far in the show, spend a lot of time inside the Jedi Temple. Whether it's Master Soul teaching younglings or having council meetings, Vestra especially. From what we know about Sith Lords both in Disney canon and the George Lucas era or the expanded universe, Sith Lords are highly intelligent and extremely powerful. And with the Bane lineage of Sith Lords, they're especially secretive. They prioritize building power through gathering wealth, information, and the study of the dark side. They don't take unnecessary risks that could expose themselves. Now, it wasn't until they were ready to reveal themselves with Maul and Palpatine and execute the grand plan that they finally chose to be seen.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
And being a Jedi Master, walking around the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, sitting on council meetings and teaching younglings is just way too high of a risk to take. It doesn't necessarily serve any real purpose. The risk far outweighs the reward in trying something like that. Now, there have been a few times that the Sith have really pushed the limits on interacting with the Jedi in the expanded universe. Bane sent his apprentice Zana to sneak into the Jedi archives and was almost caught. And Plagueis interacted with Dooku, Sifo-Dyas, and Qui-Gon just prior to the Phantom Menace in the Plagueis novel. But these instances are a far cry from being a Jedi Master and hanging out in the temple on councils and teaching younglings. So for me, there's zero chance that it's either one of these two. Okay, so let's move on now to the Witch Mothers. So Coral does have the chance to be Smilo Ren, but I still don't think that's the case. Now, we didn't see her body anywhere in episode 3, so she may have survived and may have even had something to do with the deaths of everyone else. I think we're going to get another perspective of those events in the next few episodes. And we're going to see a bit more about what happened. Now, she does hate the Jedi, which checks off one of the boxes of being a Sith, but doesn't come across as overly powerful or even that she craved power, which is a red flag for being a Sith. Now, Mother Anastasia is also a candidate, but we did see her body in episode 3. Now, witches and their sorcery are known to be able to resurrect the dead. We've seen that in various forms with the Night Sisters, Ventress is back. We saw her in the Bad Batch after she died in that incredible book, Dark Disciple. And we saw Morgan Elsbeth create Marok using Night Sister fart dust. So it's possible that she could be somehow resurrected. Plagueis even talks about this in the Plagueis novel. Now here's a quote from the book. It says, "Sorcery had been implored less to extend life, but rather to create illusions, fashion beasts, and to resurrect the dead." So from his perspective, witch sorcery was an inferior practice compared to what he wanted, which was true eternal life. Now, but either way, we do know that in Legends and Disney canon, the witches can resurrect the dead, so I think both Coral and Anastasia are possibilities, but I still think it's unlikely. Now, who do I think it is? And that is Qimir. And I know it's the most obvious, and with this show being marketed as a murder mystery, that this choice seems a little too obvious. But it really is the only one that not only makes sense, but based on all the events and what we know so far, is remotely even possible from a logistics perspective. Now, he appears to be playing this drunk, goofy helper, but we did see a few glimpses of the real Qimir a few times. One was when May tried to attack him at the apothecary. You can see he puts her in her place without much effort. Also, in episode 4, as they're walking through the woods, he's kind of nudging her along, trying to understand what it actually means to kill a Jedi without a weapon, and you can see him kind of get frustrated.
It's not a test. It's impossible.
It's not impossible. You know that.
And then, when May does her 180-degree flip to turn herself in, he changes his tone right away.
What are you doing?
Not after I tell them who I know.
He'll kill you.
He also is the only one in the vicinity that could even reach Kelnaka before anyone else. He already knows where he lives and was even able to scout it out without being detected by the Jedi Master himself. So he is the only real logical possibility. Like, he's been playing undercover boss this entire first half of the series. He's also the same size as Smilo Ren when he's standing next to Osha at the very end scene. Now, there are some other silly theories like Yord being Smilo, but Yord is neither intelligent nor is he powerful. He's kind of a dum-dum and just a true believer in the Jedi way. Now, he's more by the book and he really means well, rather than he's secretly some kind of powerful undercover Sith Lord. So the final question is, now that we know that Smilo Ren is only the apprentice, who is the true Sith Lord in power right now? Well, here is where we get into canon and continuity issues between Disney canon and Legends and George Lucas. Now, we know that Plagueis was Palpatine's master in Disney canon, but all we have here is this picture. And the only thing we have of Darth Tenebris is in a random 44th issue of Build the Millennium Falcon magazine, where Tenebris is said to design Maul's ship in The Phantom Menace. So technically, they can kind of do whatever they want for the Sith Lord. They can change Plagueis from being immune to being Mother Anastasia or Coral. They can make Tenebris one of them as well. I can't imagine the reaction if they actually do this, but Disney has shown that they're kind of willing to do and play with things like that, so we're going to have to wait and see. There is definitely a Sith Lord out there. I think it should be Plagueis, and I would like it to be immune like he was in the Plagueis novel, but who knows. Anyway, let me know who you think Smilo Ren is and who you think the true Sith Lord will be. Thank you guys so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.